my name is Adam Barrett. I'm one of the student pastors here at Central Church, and we are in our final series in our study through the book of Galatians. There are seasons in our life we look back on with very fond memories, and one of those for me was in high school, specifically my junior year. It was in marching band. Now I remember it not because I loved marching band, even though I enjoyed it, but it was the group of guys I was with. It was Ben, it was Jeremy, it was Zach, it was Tyler. And I just loved spending time with these guys. We would do video games, we would do Xbox. This is back when we would carry physical Xboxes and TVs to people's houses. We would do all these fun things. We would end up going to playgrounds and playing on these kid things, and we just had a blast. Why? Because it was with the community of people I was with. We all long for community. We long to be with a group of people that understands us and that we can grow from. And that community was so important to me because it felt like it was a place where I belonged in high school. But it didn't go to a deeper level to what I think it could have gone. Right now in the book of Galatians in chapter 6, Paul is going to be talking about community. And in our series, we're talking about how to grow together as community. And I want you to look at just a couple of things while you're looking through chapter 6 to take notice of. First, in verse 1 of chapter 6, Paul says he encourages the Christians to restore other Christians who are caught in sin. Now, when I read that, that is not something we normally do. In fact, there's very few times in my life that I have people who have come and have noticed some things that are just going wrong in my life that I'm caught up with, and they have that hard conversation. Now, this is such a key important thing though. A lot of times the churches thinks, oh wait, we need to restore people with the truth, with the right content. Now, don't get me wrong, truth is important, but Paul is specific here. We need to restore people with the spirit of gentleness. Now, coming back to the fruits of the Spirit, those who are exhibiting that. The next thing I want you to keep in mind as you're reading through chapter 6 is in verse 2. Paul then says to bear each other's burdens. Now, when Paul talks about bearing a burden, I want you to imagine that I was holding a 100-pound rock right now. It's really heavy. I barely can hold it. And for someone to bear that burden with me, it would require them coming over, putting their hands on the rock that I'm holding, and to share the weight so that I'm holding 50 pounds and they're holding 50 pounds. That is the image that we're called to do. It's called getting into the messiness of people's life. And this goes beyond, yes, okay, the burdens of life that we all go through. Yes, we're to carry each other's burdens. But even messier, echoing back to verse 1, the burdens that sin causes in our life. Where we see our brother and sister in Christ who's not doing okay, and we're called to exhibit gentleness and faithfulness and help carry that burden. The last thing I want you to keep in mind as you're reading through Galatians chapter 6 is that the one thing that will kill this amazing community that we can have is pride. Pride. It's this desire to only care for the self. So yeah, I know I may be looking at verse 1 to have that hard conversation, but frankly, I don't do it. Why? Because I care more about myself and how I think they're going to view me. Yeah, I can understand that my brother and sister in Christ is having this really hard time in life and there's this burden and I see it, but it's going to require not just my time, but my energy, and it's going to require me to get messy, and there's times where I'm like, I just don't know if I want to. Why? Because of pride. Pride is the ultimate destroyer of community. Past several weeks, you guys have experienced community together, hopefully. You've been diving into the Word and sharing stories and learning about each other. But I hope that you would have a deeper conversation today about what this group could be. Where it goes beyond just this 6 weeks, but it could go on to more weeks, months, and years ahead, where you look back at this group and it's marked with a season of just fondness of you because you really experience true Christian community. Have a great time.